think we are
I think we're
live.
live.
I
Yes,
think
we
we
are.
are, but let me close something here. Otherwise, it's going to tell me that, okay, yes, we are live. Okay. Hi,
Awesome.
everyone. Welcome
Hello.
from Mara and Elvira to discover conversations outside the box. Happy Wednesday, everybody.
Yes. And
Um,
happy one day post Valentine's.
I hope you had a nice day, whatever you did. If you
Yeah.
celebrated with your loved ones, if you celebrated by yourself, if you didn't, I hope you're well.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to continue the topic about our why. So last week, if you were watching or you watched the replay, Elvira shared a lot of her stories and how she got into doing what she's doing. And that was a very important story. And there were so many things that I feel a lot of people might be going through. So that's the reason why we decided to share our why. So maybe you can be inspired, or maybe you can feel like you resonate. And if you feel stuck or anything, we hope that our stories can help you to think and get unstuck.
Get
And
unstuck. Exactly.
yeah, and maybe if you feel like reaching out also, because we're here for you.
Mm-hmm. Nice, nice.
Today
Well,
it's
I'm
my turn.
excited. Yes,
Yes,
today it's your
no,
turn.
go
So I'm
ahead.
gonna zip it. No, I was gonna say I'm gonna zip it, and you're gonna talk about your why, Mara, and we'll have a conversation. As need be. But I want our viewers, our listeners, to really, understand why you do what you do, because this is what we do as entrepreneurs. We serve the world in our own unique way, and it's not what we do; it's why we do it and how we do it that makes us different. And those that we're meant to serve will find us. So we're letting you know exactly vulnerably our stories so that you know that you're not alone and that someone's been through it and can support you through it as well. So take it away, Mara. Tell us why you do what you do, right? And remember what Y stands for, Mara?
Oh
Remember?
my God, I don't remember. So you have to tell it again.
Okay. So Y stands for the world helped or healed by you.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. I
WHY,
love it. I
right?
need to
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
this because I really love it. Yes,
yes,
yes, yes, yes,
yeah.
yes.
So tell us, Mara,
Okay,
why do you
so
do what you do? Yeah.
why do I do what I do? Well, it all started for me. It's always been like I always felt like I wanted to do more. So I grew up in a family that had lack mindset and very fixed mindset. So according to my parents, my life should have been you go to work to school, you get a good job, you get a man, and then you have a family. And that was
Yep.
never the picture of my life. Like it was at some point, but it was never something. I just felt that like I was always dreaming
Mm,
about a career or traveling, watching movies and things like that. I was always very much attracted by strong women having power and leadership over their lives.
mm,
And I was always looking for something more. I was always changing jobs to get a better job, to get a better pay, to do something else. I was always starting something. And that led me to want to change. And then at some point, a friend of mine, when I went to say goodbye because I was moving to London, she said to me, you need to read this book because there is a lot of you in this book. And then also because I think it's going to help you. And that book was The Secret. And that
mm.
book really opened a floodgate for me of new ways of thinking, of seeing the world. And it also gave me tools on how to improve your life. And
Mhm.
so that led me to start reading and watching videos about self-development and all of those people. Jack Canfield was one of the
Mm.
many that I really got into with, that I really started following. But there were so many. Tony Robbins, and
Mhm.
a lot. I mean, you name them. And when I started to do that for me, because I realized the things that we're suggesting were actually working, then I started to share them with people. One thing that people will always tell me is that I was always very positive, despite,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
when I moved here, I started doing a job that wasn't the job that I wanted to do, and the pay was very, very low. So I was always getting towards the end of the month scared not to be able to get to it. And some people that work with me, some friends knew that, but they were always like, I don't know how you do it, you're always very happy, you're always very positive. And I got to a point where people were coming to me because they wanted to feel better. To
Mm.
me, that was just good, and I just loved it. And I never really thought about me becoming one of the people that I was actually watching on YouTube, or I was buying books about from. And at some point, a guy that was working with me, and then we shared, you know, oh, have you read this book? Said something to me, and that made me think. He was like, Mara, have you ever thought about becoming one of those guys, like becoming like a coach? Because you got it. People come to you for this reason. Like every time someone says your name, they light up because they know that. And I was like, nah, what are you talking about? I mean, like, I can never become like them. Like, I love what they're doing. I mean, that would be fantastic. But it's, you know, me, like, but that kind of stuck in my head. And then I kept saying, okay, yes, I'm going to become a coach. I'm going to become a coach. But I guess I was really scared. And I was always thinking, you know, I don't have the money for this. I don't have the money for this. And then when my dad passed away in 2015, that kind of was it for me, because I got really scared in terms of, so I went to see my dad. I surprised my dad in March for his 70th birthday.
Mm.
And 6 months after, he was no longer there. And that's scared me so much, because I realized that, you know, I've been holding on to a dream that I kept on saying I wanted to become someone. But what I was really doing was trying to get promoted at work, trying to make more money at work in a job that I actually chose for easiness, because it was a 9 to 5 job, you know, but I didn't actually like it. I was trying to have a status here because I was surrounded by so many friends that worked in big companies, making a lot of money. A lot of them had gone to university, had master's degrees here and there. You know, the coolest schools or universities like in the States, and MBAs. And I felt always very little, because I didn't go to university. My parents told me, if you want to go to university, you have to pay for it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to work. But that thing kind of stuck with me for so many years, especially when I was surrounded by those people that were making money because they had that. And then when my dad passed away, I found myself thinking, what the hell am I doing here? Like, I moved to London because I wanted to become someone, because there was something for me here. And what I'm doing is just making excuses. And then, you know, the books and the things that those people were saying, like, kind of. And so the year after, I signed up for my coaching academy. And that's when everything kind of started to, I want to say, to come back to me, because that's when in a very small space of time, I started to get into Reiki and aromatherapy. Color therapy kind of came a little bit afterwards, but I started to go into all the spiritual world a little bit more, because the coaching academy that I signed up to was very spiritual, like all women, and talking about spirituality in the way I resonated with. And so I started like that, and I knew that I wanted to do all of those things together, use crystals. And then you know how it is. Friends start to give you, oh, well, you need this crystal. I'm like, what is the crystal? What is this? What does it do? And they're like, oh, you have so much negativity at work. Just use this, put it in your water. I was like, okay. Your friends that you trust. My friend was already into all of those things. She was already a Reiki master. She was already doing she was doing family constellation. So I trusted her. And so you start with a crystal and you're like, oh, okay, but this is pretty, so I started in those ways, and then pretty quickly I realized that I actually felt very attracted by a lot of things, and I started to study more. But I think that what gave it to me was when in 2016 I went to do an aura reading, and when the lady started to read my life, reading my aura, told me the color, I was blown away. And she was like, you're meant to do this. It was a time where I was still hadn't signed up yet to become a coach. I was looking at places and I was like, is this the right thing for me? Shall I really start, studying again at 33? And she was like, yeah, yeah,
33, that's a
yeah,
baby.
right.
I'm 60.
I know, right? But to me, it
And
was
I'm
like,
just starting now.
right. I was like, to
Yeah.
me, it was like, I've studied fine. Like, this is what and then she was like, hell yeah. I just want to let you know that you were a shaman during the Maya period. So, and I was like, what?
Oh.
Wait, what? That started off a complete new path for me, together with the coaching studying, because that's when I started to get it. I was like, this thing of reading auras, I love it because I love colors. People here tell me I'm the most colorful person
Yeah.
in they meet. Because
Yeah.
England is all like, I was
Yeah.
going to interviews and everybody was like black, gray, brown, blue. And then
Yeah.
I would come and I would come and I would be like red or purple, whatever. And everybody was like, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's me. Anyway. And so, yeah. And then I started to get into, I'm like, okay, what is this? And then I learned there is a thing called color therapy. I'm like, oh. And so I started studying color therapy. And that's what helped me to understand that I am actually a healer. But it took me a long time to actually admit that to myself. But that started to, colors have always been something that made me very happy. And this is the reason why I've always been super colorful. And I always been attracted by purple, pink, and things like that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I had an explanation of who I was through colors. And there was, you could use colors to heal people, to heal emotions. And in that moment, I was already trying to figure out what kind of coach I wanted to become. I was kind of like diving deeper into inner child healing. And it's kind of like things started to come together for me. And it was just so weird because it was a period where I was finding my things to do, my things that will open doors for me, but also people will come to me. I met this woman that became a friend of mine, and she's a psychotherapist, and she does hypnosis, and she's also a channeler. And one day she's like, you don't understand, your intuition is really, really powerful. You should be called the intuition queen. I'm like, wait, what? What are you talking about? And she was kind of like telling me how powerful I was as a healer and as a guide and as a coach. And I was like, it doesn't make sense what you're saying. I mean, like, it does, but it doesn't. And so as I started to, I asked my friends if I could do color therapy sessions with them just to practice. And what I realized is that in doing that, I started channeling things, and I started projecting what, their life, or I started to feel like why they were blocked in certain situations. Well, because when the way I started studying color therapy is like, there is a color associated to every number in your date of birth. And so at the beginning was very much like, oh, you have this color, which means this, and you have this color, which means that. And then as I started to actually do it on people, I started to have all of those visions and feelings. And I was like, okay, this is something that I know already, because my intuition has always been strong and I had this before, but it never felt to me like, first of all, it felt to me like it was something that everybody could do. Like you had the same way of doing it. Like your intuition will work in the same way. So to me, it wasn't something like a thing that I did and my intuition was powerful. My intuition is like your intuition. We all have it. Sometimes we use it, sometimes we don't, but no big deal. So that kind of opened something for me that I didn't really expected. And so when I started to coach, when I finished the course and I started to coach, kind of everything started to come together. And as I continued my journey, then I realized that I was a healer. Well, I didn't realize it. I went to a Jack Canfield seminar in 2018. And at some point, it was a 5-day seminar. So we were together from like 8:30 in the morning till 6. And there were a lot of things that, we would do, exercises and things like that to help you up-level your life, find your purpose, whatever. And there was this meditation, which was to help you find your purpose, whatever that was. And you were supposed to find something in a box at the end of the meditation. There was this box where you would open the box, and in the box there was something. There was either your purpose or something related to your purpose. And I remember that I got a clear quartz, and I'm like, okay. And a voice said, "You're a healer." And I remember that I was like, yeah, no, but yeah, okay. I don't know about this meditation. And then eventually with time, I started to realize the power of everything. And I went through my own healing journey, which also amplified all of my gifts and my ability to see what's going on the other side. What is the thing that is blocking you? What is the thing that is in front of you, and why you cannot see it? And how can we help you? Can I help you to unlock that gift that you have? How can I help you unlock that power that you have that you don't see? It's what happened to me with the people that I met before. I was like, yeah, nah, that's not me. Like, so that's how everything kind of started and shifted. And then at some point I felt the need to learn more about human design. Because I started to have a few readings for myself. And then someone said, Mara, I think you should study because it's matching with the colors. Like there is something there. I just know. I'm like, yeah, I know. I just have this feeling to that I should be learning this. And so it's really is about listening to myself and what my intuition is telling me, and go for the things that I feel are supposed to be my tools to help other people. So also I took level 2 of Reiki, because obviously with colors and energy. So to me, it's all about learning to understand, becoming aware of who you are now, not who you were or who you think you are, becoming aware of you right now, so that you can become aware of what is blocking you, your patterns, your limiting beliefs, and then work on your energy and your connection to your intuition, which is the most powerful thing you could possibly use as a guidance system to change your life in whichever way that applies to you. I don't know what I would do without my intuition. But yeah, so this is where I got to, just following bits and pieces from what I felt was me. And sometimes, people kind of giving you a push and be like, why don't you look into this? Why don't you do this? And then so that's how it kind of started for me, and just seeing people, the way I can help people transform their life. Like, to me, the most beautiful thing, the things that gives me most joy, is when I start working with a person that feels very stuck and doesn't see through,
Mm,
and get to the end and see that they have understood so much about themselves that they now see there is a possibility to
yeah,
get what they want, to make that change that was so scary and that felt
yeah,
so impossible at the beginning. Just
yeah,
seeing that, it's like it just, and it just makes me so happy. So this feeling of happiness that I get from helping other people, it just impossible to get from anything else, really.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so beautiful, Mara. It just makes me want to cry because, you know, there's that old saying, you know, what would you do if you had all the money in the world? I'd be doing exactly what I'm doing, and you'd be doing what you're doing
Yeah.
because
Oh yeah.
it's your purpose. It's your
Yeah.
why. And it helped you, and you want to use it to help others to get clarity on their life, to move forward, to be, you know, positive, joyful, inspired like you are. And it's so beautiful, Mara. Like I connected to so many pieces of your story. And you know, I just want to say how blessed I feel, even more blessed that I get to co-create and collaborate with you after hearing that. So thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing that. It's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that it's not a coincidence that we met,
No.
that Ryan introduced each other. And I think
God
that
bless Ryan if he's watching.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that the more you
Yeah.
listen to yourself, the more you can take steps that will take you somewhere important. I always had this thing within me that,
Yeah.
especially for very big decisions, there was this feeling within me that would say,
Mm.
no, this is looks the best, but this feels the best. So go for
Yes.
what feels better.
Look versus feel. Yes. There's a good thing you can apply to your life right now,
Yeah.
you know?
And that it's what drove all my biggest decision, moving to London, changing
Yeah.
jobs, choosing a company rather than another.
Hmm.
All those decisions that helped me to actually become the person I needed to become.
Hmm.
Um, and this is why I so want to help people to understand that everybody
Hmm.
is intuitive, everybody can connect to their
Hmm.
intuition, and it's the most powerful guidance system you can
Yeah.
possibly. It's not about someone else, or yeah, you can have a session with someone, but the truth is that we already know all the answers.
Hmm.
It's just that we need to release all of those scary pieces of ourselves that might drive us, or that we forgot about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can access it. Yeah. And I love what you said too about, you know, having that coach see things in you. This is what we do as coaches. We actually see ahead because we've got, you know, we channel to serve our clients. We have vision. We can see ahead of them. And but they know in their hearts and souls, you know, it's just that sometimes they're in their own effing way, as I like to say,
Yeah.
fear and ego, right? Where you think I'm not good enough, or you can say the opposite. I'm all that in a bag of chips, which is a compensation for I'm not good enough. But staying in that zone, I call it your miracle magnet zone, you know, vibration of authentic power, VAP. It's the same thing. Basically, you're in your higher self zone. That's where you are connected to your higher self, your intuition, your higher power. It's all in alignment. And you know, so that's the place that you live from. That's where I live from the majority of the time, right? Because our egos are still going to
Yeah,
get activated.
absolutely. Yeah.
But we serve our clients by helping them get into that zone and access their own intuition, their own genius. We all have the answers inside us. It's just a matter of accessing them. And I want to say to you, Matt, I had a session with you because we served each other. I remember that time quite a few months ago. And I just remember afterwards, like I knew I have a big purpose, but after that session with you, I felt next level. Like it's like, I better take this freaking seriously because Mara sees this, right? So it's like when people see things in you, you can't help but grow. You can't help but elevate. So
Yeah.
I just want to honor you because that's what
Thank
you get
you.
to do for people. So I want to
Yeah.
Cheers to you, Mara.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And, like sometimes you just need that someone that tells you that, because
Mhm.
as you said, you already know it. But
Yeah.
maybe you're scared, maybe you're being too much, or,
Mhm.
all those limiting thoughts
Yeah.
that we learn to make ours growing up, like,
We stay in the box, right?
exactly, like, oh, but
Yeah.
my life is good enough like this, I shouldn't want more, I shouldn't build
Yeah.
more, and that's not true. And sometimes you just need that person that confirms a lot of,
Mhm.
and I'm sure that your clients say the same.
Mm.
A lot of the times it's just you confirm what they already know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
tell you, oh yeah, I I thought about this, I've been feeling this, but I wasn't sure that.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
then because
Yeah.
you can explain where the blockages comes from and what they can do if
Mhm.
they do the work, then they have a vision that is different from before, because now
Yeah.
they understand it, now they understand
Yeah.
themselves. They
Yeah.
can actually make the connections on where, maybe this particular behavior comes from, and
Mhm.
how many times that starts to get out whenever something happens. They can see it, they can see what you're seeing, and they can actually see where you see them.
Yeah.
And that's when they do that, when they get to that point, that's when their life changes, because
Yeah.
they can actually see the connection between the past and what needs to be released,
Yeah.
and what they could potentially do in the future.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that's the most beautiful part of this whole work that we do.
Yeah. Yeah. And thank you for all of that. And then out of the clarity of what comes out of our sessions, they get to move forward in inspired action so that their life actually changes. And it's different than taking ego action,
Yeah,
because ego action is based on fear, it's based on trying to be better, compete, all of that yucky feeling stuff. Whereas when they're in this higher vibration as their higher self, the zone that we get them into, then they can take inspired action forward, inspired in spirit. You're working with spirit.
yeah,
And that's what gets the magic and miracles in their life. And we're so blessed. We do it each our own way, but this is in essence what we're doing. We're
yeah,
helping them connect to their intuition, their higher self, so that they can move forward in inspired action, and then miracles happen. Am I right?
exactly. Absolutely right.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely right. Okay,
I
so
love
I
it.
think that we have
Yeah.
come to the conclusion of this episode. Thank you so much for allowing me to share my story.
Oh, thank you for sharing, Mara. You're amazing.
And
More cheers to you.
seriously. And for
Mm.
everybody watching this live on replay, wherever you're watching, if you have questions, please do put them in the comments. If you want to reach out, you have everything just below. And as usual, we'll see you again next Wednesday. All right. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.